As we get closer and closer to the elections, the political landscape in Gauteng is heating up again, with ActionSA finally unveiling its Gauteng election poster under the slogan, "Let Action Lead." We continue decoding with different political party leaders, of course, on Ask a Politician. And this morning, we are joined in studio by the president of ActionSA, Mr. Herman Mashaba. Over the next 25 or so minutes, feel free to send us a X with your questions, perhaps, for the president of ActionSA, and you can do so on the handle @Newzroom405. Mr. Mashaba, good morning and welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Good morning, Naledi, and good morning to you, Newzroom Afrika listeners. Always absolute pleasure to be here.
Just a few weeks to go, and the run-up to the election is heating up. How are you feeling, considering the fast growth of the party that is ActionSA?
Well, first of all, I'm excited because I'm doing something. Unlike in the past, before I joined the political mudslinging, I was feeling so powerless, frustrated. But I think today I wake up every morning with a purpose to do something. But at the same time, the reality is going to be the reality 48 hours after the casting of the elections in 20 days time. And yeah, so it's a mixed emotions, but I'm really very positive that we are going to see change, particularly here in Gauteng.
Yeah. Can we go back in time a little bit and go to the genesis of ActionSA? Because I really, in this feature particularly, it's interesting just to talk about, you know, what the intention of the party was right from the beginning. And I think it's hard to separate the birth of ActionSA from your own resignation from the main opposition party in the country, the Democratic Alliance. Talk to us about that period. I mean, was it emotional? Was it anger? What was it that motivated the beginning of ActionSA?
Well, I think, you know, in my life, I was betrayed by two political parties, the two big parties. As you are aware, I'm 64 years old. 1994, at the age of 34, voted for ANC, participated financially and otherwise in their success. Voted for Nelson Mandela, voted for Thabo Mbeki in 1999. But during Thabo Mbeki, that's when I started seeing cracks, things that I was not comfortable as a South African. And then started looking for alternative parties to vote for. And fast forward to 2015, DA approaches me to be the mayoral candidate. I mean, initially it took me by total surprise because I never thought a capitalist like myself would one day find myself in direct political arena. I've always been a politically conscious person. And eventually I accepted the responsibility, and I made it clear to the ANC, to the DA, why I'm joining politics to democratically remove the ANC from power based on what they were doing to our country. And 3 years later, I'm the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, running a multi-party government under the banner of the DA. Discover secret meetings between the DA and ANC to have a motion of no confidence against me. And when this matter came to our attention, I then immediately alerted Musi, and unfortunately Musi failed to act. And I then, on my own, let South Africa know. I said, obviously, the person leading that campaign with the ANC, those negotiations with the ANC, was Helen Zille at the time. So I said, Musi, we've got Helen Zille, who's now intending to come back to the DA to be your national chairperson. If this woman comes back, I'm afraid I'm out, because I'll never want to be associated with such people. For some reason, honestly, I'd never thought I'd made any impression on residents of Johannesburg and South Africa overall. That's when people then asked me to start my own political party, you know. So that's how ActionSA was born. Listened to the people, started the People's Dialogue. 2.4 million South Africans gave us the mandate, and 29th of August 2020, right in the middle of COVID, that's how ActionSA was launched.
A lot of people would think that in that time, I mean, you were, I mean, the word irate, to say the least, is really quite an understatement about how you felt when you left the Democratic Alliance. But a lot of people would argue that you could have seen it coming, considering the exit of leaders within the party, such as Lindiwe Mazibuko.
No, I think, remember, Lindiwe left, I think, 2 years or so before, or 1.5 or a year, because actually when DA first approached me to be the mayoral candidate, I said, no, because you guys are smoking something. But I said, you just lost this wonderful woman. I'd never met Lindiwe before. I then said, no, man, why don't we talk to this lady to be your mayoral candidate in Johannesburg? I'm sure she'll do a great job. And I actually had to fly all the way at my own cost to go and meet the Lindiwe, because I managed to get her email address, drop an email. I said, I'm coming to the US, can I come and talk to you? And spent 2 days with her at Harvard, and unfortunately she declined my invitation, and she had good, valid reasons. But I still felt someone has got to do something. Eventually, with Jacob Zuma firing the Minister of Finance in the middle of the night, I realized this horror movie is not just a dream; it's a reality. And I decided, if not me, who? I then throw my head in the ring.
Okay, so let's talk ActionSA. Are you surprised by how fast the party has grown? I mean, we need to talk a little bit about that. Just, you know, how far you anticipated the party would grow. And what do you say? I think one of the biggest, I suppose, negative things that people have said about the party is that your policy direction is way too similar to that of the Democratic Alliance. There's some questions around who funds ActionSA and if there is alignment, if at all, with the Democratic Alliance. What do you say to that criticism?
I think these are people who obviously would not want the current government to be out of power. So I think, Naledi, we must accept in life. You know, my grandfather taught me early stage of my life to say, my boy, never stand on the fence, because if you stand on the fence, one day you're going to fall and hurt yourself. Please always remain on the ground. But when you're on the ground, just understand, not everyone is going to like you. So I'm not in the business of being liked by everybody, because it is not possible. Human beings killed Jesus Christ. And that's examples of what my grandfather taught me from early stage of my life until his passing in 1978. When people could kill the Son of God, Jesus Christ, he says, who on earth do you think you are? What you do what is right. And what you do, make sure that everything that you do, ask for God's wisdom. Okay. If God is happy with what you're doing, don't worry about mankind. So criticism will be there. So what you do, you look at majority of the people, and the majority of South Africans resonate with ActionSA, demonstrated by our performance in the local government elections, when polls and experts that you guys interview, they didn't see us. Even up to today, the polls and experts, call an expert now, they will tell they don't see us. But one thing I can tell you, Naledi, we are in all 9 provinces. We have already covered over 50% of the branches, of the wards with branches. We are really targeting, we're pushing our teams to ensure that by the time we go to elections, we've at least got 60% of the branches in wards. These are things that people don't see. We're working behind the scene, and obviously I'm not going to share our trade secrets. I'm a trader, I'm a marketer. What we do, the results we achieve, we don't achieve them by luck. No, we achieve results because of our hard work and determination.
Let me step in there, Mr. Mashaba. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to test some of the policy directions that you'd like to put forward to the country, and look at some of the proposals that you give to us. And we'll keep looking at the inner workings of ActionSA as we are in conversation with the party's leader, Herman Mashaba. It is Ask a Politician. Share your questions as well with us at Newzroom 405 on X. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. So we continue our conversation with ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba. It is Ask a Politician, and talking a little bit about the proposal that the party makes to you, the voter, in the run-up to the 29th of May elections. Now, I know that you've been very passionate and outspoken about wanting to see the death penalty back in the country, and we can talk a little bit about that. But I know that your advert is coming out this afternoon. What is the messaging that is there? Are you burning the flag?
we're not anti-South Africa. We love this country. I think this flag is a symbol of our unity as a country. We'll do everything it takes to ensure that we protect that flag. I think for us as ActionSA, we want to promote unity. We want to promote economic growth. Economic growth driven by the private sector, driven by strong criminal justice system and the rule of law to ensure that our people are protected. A nation which must want to produce clever blacks, give them the best education ever, so that in every community there's an engineer, there's an accountant, there's an actuarial scientist, there's a policeman, there's a teacher, and so forth. This is really what we want to achieve. And at the same time, achieve national unity. All of us must stand behind our flag, be one nation. That's actually a gist of really what we're communicating as ActionSA, and we are unapologetic about this. We're a party that wants to drive a free market economy where the private sector is the one that is going to drive economic growth, and not us as government. We need to ensure that we declare corruption public enemy number one. We want to stop and punish, severely punish this murderers, this rapist, this corrupt politician and businessmen. We want to ensure that South Africa is not welcoming to international drug cartels. We want them out of our country as a matter of urgency. But that to happen, I think South African voters need to really give us their mandate. Otherwise, this country is in big, big trouble.
Are there regrets over the period that you have run ActionSA? Any regrets that you see in your journey? I mean, I look at a party like Shiluba, for instance, that is now hitting the ground running, campaigning. Bongani Baloyi, former member of ActionSA and a prominent voice within the party as well. You've lost the likes of Makosi Ngosi as well from the party. What are some of the regrets, if at all? Well,
I think Naledi, you know, in life, whether it's in family, it is in business, it's in NGO space, it's in politics, people will come and go. And when people actually go, sometimes people think I'm being brutal, because when people leave, and they leave for their own reasons that we don't agree with them, I always take it to really be good riddance. Because the thing is, ActionSA is a voluntary organization, so we can't stop Naledi from joining our party and climbing over the ranks. Some of them, obviously, you identify them with it, believe that they are leaders, only to discover once they're close to them that no, man,
but what happens?
This is not a leader that you expected. I mean, someone like Makosi Khoza. I mean, honestly, I don't have to really elaborate on that. I think Makosi Khoza is known. Baloyi, unfortunately, I think he failed to really understand our commitment as ActionSA that we'll never work with the ANC. And for him to expect us to entertain discussions with the ANC, that's where he made a mistake, because actioners throughout the country don't want to see ANC anywhere. They are working hard at their butt off to ensure that we democratically remove the ANC. And for him to really want to engage us, wanting us to engage the ANC, was really very unfortunate. And unfortunately, we had to let him go.
You've taken quite a bit of issue with the polling industry in the run-up to these elections. Why is that? I mean, the polling industry certainly has sparked a lot of discussion around what is expected in the run-up to the election. A lot of the, I suppose, pundits have essentially said that what polls are is just public sentiment of where the voter is with their view of political parties at the moment, and not necessarily a reflection of what will be the results of the elections on the 29th of May.
Naledi, we don't have problems with people doing polls and research, but don't use it as a propaganda machine for political parties. because that's why you have some of the advanced democracies where they don't allow polling during elections. So, for instance, France, places like Canada, Brazil, very stringent controls how the media can report on polls. If you look at the polls banded around in this country run by some of these research companies, these are direct propagandists of note running polls for political parties to influence a certain direction towards those parties. It is for that reason we took this matter up with the Press Council, and we won the case. They appealed, and as it looks like they are in contempt of court directive, because by now they should obviously have disclosed the parties behind this and the people behind this polls. So it's something that if need be, as a ActionSA, we're not going to really doubt, because we are not going to allow propagandist, disingenuous, dishonest people to really manipulate public opinion, because unfortunately people are gullible. You know, on a regular basis when these polls come out, we see numbers that you say to yourself, my goodness, I've always said jokingly, I said, it looks like these people are really smoking something. That's the reason why, as Herman Mashaba, I'm really committed to getting rid of drugs in South Africa, because some of these drugs that these people smoke, they are really very dangerous. And we cannot allow drug pushers and people using drugs to influence public opinion. And we've got to really stop them. And so we are not against people coming out with polls, but I think the industry has got to be regulated to ensure that you, as in the media, pollsters, when you invite someone to come and give you the nonsense, it has really been verified that this is independent. Just to really give you an example, one of the senior people in this research company, a few days ago, running a poll on public platform, and he's got parties, and he says small parties, and there's a party called ASA, ASA. There's no party like that. This is someone you, as the media, invite on a regular basis to give you a report. Now you can imagine someone, even, you see, when you tell lies, you're bound to make a mistake. Now tell me you claim to be a reputable pollster, and you're asking people about political party, and there's a political party called ASA. Tell me, what are the results of that poll? Yeah. Because the poor people you are researching, they don't know what you are talking about. Okay. So this are just to give you an example, and this is a few days ago. This guy called Van Olselen from Victory Research. I mean, that guy is one of the most disingenuous propagandist. I don't know whether he was trained by the Russians to go out and lie to the world. Well,
I'm going to stop you there so that you know, he obviously is not here to defend himself.
No, but what I'm telling about it, it is there in the public domain. It's not something that I've just sucked out of my brain.
I do need to be responsible, of course, and guard against slander, Mr. Mashaba. But let's talk about this. You recently were a new entrant in the political sphere. One thing this election certainly does is it sees a lot of new entrants. Rise, Mzansi, the list goes on and on and on of new entrants, even independent candidates. And then entered the fray the MK party. Are you intimidated by some of these entrants? A lot of questions around whether or not the MK party will have a real dent on some of the electorates, I suppose, the sort of votes and where they're expected to go.
I think, Naledi, to be fair, I'll be the last person to underestimate any party, because ActionSA was underestimated in 2021, no one saw us. And I think if I look at the constitutional democracy, it allows anyone to form a political party. The voters of this country are the ones who are going to really decide, not the pollsters, researchers, and so-called political scientists. only the voters of this country are going to decide. So Jacob Zuma and MK, as long as they operate within the laws of the Republic of South Africa, they have the fullest right. Are we intimidated by them as ActionSA? I can tell you our focus is on ANC, because it's the ANC that destroyed this country over the last 30 years. That is our main focus. When we go out there and campaign to the residents, not that we ignore other parties, but our primary target in ensuring that we can wake South Africans up, the 27.7 million registered voters, we want them to go out and vote, and we demonstrate to them how ANC is losing support, how ANC has failed them. And fortunately enough, when we relate the ANC failures, it's a lived experience. We see ANC going all out, getting the Thabo Mbekis, the Mutlantes, the Tokyos, the Huales. People who've actually destroyed this country are the ones who are going to tell South Africans that their lives are better. I laugh about it, but these people, honestly, something it's mentally, they belong to mental institutions, because you can't really destroy something and then 30 years later you go and tell people to say, no, we are going to renew ourselves. And the thing is, what they do with their marketing, they go and tell people that their lives are better. When 86 people are being murdered in this country, when we've got the highest sustainable unemployment rate in the world, where our youth are being destroyed by international drug cartels, and you go and tell them that their lives are better. Honestly, from a marketing point of view, you've got to be out of touch with reality. Okay, I'm running out of time. Final question. 29th of May is coming up. We know that the flow of the results operating center after or as those numbers start to trickle in will be a buzz. With the scramble between political parties to then start forming these alliances. Your coalition do's and don'ts going into this election? Well, look, ActionSA is campaigning as an independent party. I think you remember on the day before we signed the agreement, I made it clear to South Africa that ActionSA is contesting to go for outright majority. But we understand and appreciate that it is not really possible under the current circumstances. South Africa has entered an era of coalition. It is for that reason that we are prepared to coalesce with what we call better devils. Yes. Because we don't really share the same policies 100%. But there are certain policies that we agree on in terms of non-racial South Africa, free market economy, believe in the rule of law, corruption as public enemy number one. And yes, that's why ActionSA is part of this multi-party arrangement. Whether our partners are committed fully to this project, that's something that we cannot obviously, it remains to be seen. News coming out this week, very, very tragic, that your party's Funzi Ngobeni and youth leader Hlupi Rafane were hijacked in a tragic incident. I mean, let's talk a little bit about how they're doing and really what action is being taken at the moment. Well, it actually was one of my biggest nightmares. 2 days ago, I had a public meeting with the ECD Center practitioners. And you know what? During the meeting, my phone kept ringing. It was on silence. As I leave, one of my colleagues tell me the Funzi has been hijacked or kidnapped with Hlupi. And obviously at that time, there's no one to really give me the details. And then immediately on my way, confused, made contact to senior police, including getting hold of the National Commissioner of Police, Mr. Fani Masemola. Luckily, past 11, I received a call from the police, and they put that the Funzi and Hlupi have been found. So basically what happened is, obviously Funzi related this to the media on Wednesday as to what happened. Funzi was working in Region G, and one of his team members who carries our trailer and so forth, his trailer and This machine that runs the electricity packed up, the generator. His generator packed up, and it was already late to go and buy another one.
Yeah.
And then it phoned Tupi, who offered listen to him some time ago. Phoned Tupi. Tupi said, no, the generator is still available. You're most welcome to come and fetch it, because we had an event the following day. So they drove to Tupi's house. As they were busy loading this generator, that's when 3 guys with guns came. And they went through a nightmare. Obviously, his car is gone, his ID, his laptop, everything.
Yeah. It's a tragic situation and a reality for so many South Africans, but we are grateful that they are okay.
Oh,
and safe at the moment.
We prayed very hard, and we're grateful to God that their lives were spared.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. Mr. Herman Mashaba is, of course, the leader of ActionSA, vying for your vote in the 29th of May elections, and we'll be watching closely, of course, how his party and others perform. Share your thoughts with what you've heard from the leader of the party at Newzroom 405.